name is Jacob, and for my video dish I will be making faggots with gravy and various veg. The first bit is making the gravy. I know that is something you would normally do later on, but this is a special gravy that's going to take about 4 to 5 hours to make. There's 2 steps to this. First step is very easy. Firstly, you're going to want to bring about a litre of stock to boil. Up to you what stock. I'm using beef. Then, once that has boiled and it's all lovely and silky and bubbly, you're going to want to add about 1/4 of a red wine. Then here comes the fun part. You're going to have to wait for that to boil down to coat the spoon. Very important, do not add salt at any stage until the end. And that's even then, that's after you've tasted it and confirmed it needs salt. If you taste it now, it's going to cry out for salt, and you're going to add some, and then it's going to be ruined, because as it reduces, the saltiness increases. And you don't want too much salt. While the gravy is bubbling on high, you can go ahead and start chopping your onions. I like to use red, as that produces a sweeter result when you caramelise them, and you want to slice them so, I don't know the proper name, but you want to slice them so they look like this. You get nice long stripes. Once your reduction has gone to the point where you can swipe it and you can see the bottom of the pan, you're going to want to head and turn that right down and let that cool off. So that's what 500 grams of sliced onion looks like, and we have a very nice glossy reduction here. Now you can keep going if you want. I think this is fine enough, so I'm going to decant this into a jug and leave that until it's ready to use again, which won't be until about 6:30ish, about 4 hours from now. Once you've got your reduction in a jug, go ahead and put that to the side. Like I said, you're not going to be needing it for a long time. And remember, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, do not salt that. Very important, you are going to regret it if you do. Next, you're going to want to put your onions into the frying pan on a low heat, and I say low heat, the lowest you can go. This is going to be a long and slow process. Do not make the mistake of thinking you can caramelise onions in 15 minutes. This is going to be about 4 hours again, if that. So you're going to want to let that be for about 15 minutes, let the onion steam and just reduce down a bit. A tablespoon of water won't go amiss here. And then you're going to want to add in just a few bits and bobs to help with the caramelisation process. We've got some brown sugar, some pomegranate molasses, some soy sauce, and some sesame seed oil. You don't have to use all of them or any, they just help with the flavour. So, we are about a half hour in, and as you can see, as I stir in some sugar, it's coming along quite nicely. You get a sense of how big you want the slices. Make sure you give it a prod to break up any stubborn pieces. I've moved to the back as this one was too big. Again, you really do want a small hob or induction cooker thing. After about an hour and a half, you get a marmalade looking substance like this. Taste it. It is very nice and very sweet and goes really well with the stock reduction, and you get that salty sweetness for your gravy. Once you've put that to the side, you're going to want to move on to the main part. Now, the faggots don't need to go in until about an hour before you want to eat, but as some of the ingredients, especially the kidneys, can be quite fiddly to prepare, you're going to want to make them beforehand and have them ready to go in. Firstly, you're going to want 250 grams of kidney. We'll be using offal today, and all the offal is replaceable with another animal if you don't like eating certain animals, and if you don't like certain parts of offal, you can easily substitute them with different parts. For example, kidneys are really hard to prepare, and if you don't want to do that, then you can just use more liver. With the kidneys, it's very important to get this white gristle-like substance out. Not quite sure what it is, but it's got a pretty bad taste to it, and you're definitely going to want to spend the time it takes getting it out to get it out. This is why it's going to be quite fiddly. You can either slice it open and pick it out, quarter it, and then chop it out, or do what I'm doing and cut it into the cubes like this, and then individually slice out the white gristly stuff. This way is probably the longest, but I think it takes less effort and you're more likely to get as much as you can. So, now that you've chopped up your liver, your kidneys, go help yourself there, you can see the gristly stuff that we have there. You can go ahead and discard that, or in my case, give it to the dog who's waiting patiently. You're going to want to put the chopped up kidneys into the mixing bowl. Make sure it's quite a big mixing bowl, as there's going to be quite a lot of stuff going in it. Next, you're going to want to get 250 grams of liver, up to you which animal. I am using pigs. You're going to want to dice them up, much like we did with the kidneys, except this time it's going to be real easy, as there's no gristly stuff to have to get out. Once the liver has been nicely diced, no bits to give the dog unfortunately, you're going to want to move on to the heart. For this, you're going to want to use the equivalent of one pig's heart. So either the pig's heart or 2 lamb hearts, or the bottom, a little bit less than the bottom half of a cow's heart. Before you dice this up, you're going to want to trim off some of the fat. Not all the fat, give it a bit of flavour, but just a little bit. And wonder who's going to be getting the trimmings. Once you've put the heart in, you're going to want to go ahead and put 250 grams of chopped up sausage in. Now, as I've used a bit too much heart, I'm going to leave the sausage out. They were really going to only put in to help bind everything together, so I'm going to substitute it with an egg. Then you're going to want to put in 100 grams of breadcrumbs, or just blend up a few slices of bread. Now that that's all put in, you can go ahead and add whatever herbs and spices you want. Now is really the time to be creative, try out some different things. The meat, the offal in there produces a really strong flavour, so don't be worried about adding what you might consider a bit too much in terms of herbs and spices. For me, I like some cinnamon, a bit of ginger, bit of chili flakes. There's a very interested dog who wants some, and then a few mixed herbs, just to add a bit of pizzazz. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and turn the oven on to 180. Then, while that's heating up, you're going to want to blend this. I'm going to use a handheld mixer, and you want to get it into fine bits, like little chunks, maybe a bit bigger than a pea size individually. And you're going to want to blend that until you get a somewhat splodge type thing. I made the mistake of using a handhold blender. If you have a normal blender, I would recommend using that and reduce the likelihood of splatter. So, what you want to do is get 2 bits of bacon. Any bacon is suitable. I would recommend streaky, as that's more easily spread out. You want to very gently do this, it's called this motion with the back of a knife, to try and stretch it out. This is to help it accommodate the size of the meat. Then get about a handful of, this is the last one, so we're just going to make it a bit bigger and make sure all the last scraps are remaining. I'm sure the dog would help clean out anything we leave behind. Make it into a sort of ball and plod it down there. Get yourself another bit of bacon, make sure the tail doesn't come off. And again, just a bit to help stretch it out. Then you're going to want to roll it, make sure it hasn't fallen. Roll, 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 roll. And then on the other side, roll nicely. And, that's it. Make sure they're spaced out evenly. Some have turned out better than others. you're going to want to put them in middle of a hot oven, set the timer for 1 hour. This gives us plenty of time to prep the veg. So, now we have cleared, wiped down and washed our workspace because cross-contamination is no joke. You're going to get on with preparation of the veg. With this dish, we are going to be making glazed carrots and leek and potato mash. The glazed carrots add a salty caramel-esque taste that complements the strong flavour from the offal, and leek and potato mash, that's just nice to have the gravy spooned over it. Obviously with mashed potatoes you would normally boil it, but as the oven's already on, I'm going to do a method that I don't normally do because who would turn the oven on for potatoes? And that is where you slice them in half lengthways, dust them with some salt, and pop them in for about 40 or so minutes. And when they come out, you can go ahead and prod them, test them to see if they're ripe. I think these are. Now, some people like mashed potato without the skin on. I don't. I like it in, so I'm going to leave the flesh or the potato part in the skin. If you did want to have it without, all you would do is get a spoon and scoop it out. For the glazed carrot, you're going to start off with trimming the ends and then slicing them diagonally to get a thin, long strip. As well as the potatoes, both are unspecified amounts. This is just because, carrots, potatoes, it's up to you how much you want. Once you have the carrots nicely sliced, you're going to want to go ahead and melt about 30 grams of butter into a saucepan. Then you're going to want to add the carrots to the saucepan along with about a teaspoon of salt and about a pinch of sugar. Then you're going to want to add some chicken stock so it's almost at the top of the carrots. And this is about 25 minutes left with the timer. Once the carrots are bubbling away nicely, you can go ahead and, at a very low temperature, introduce the reduction we made at the start to the onion marmalade. This is with about 18 minutes left on the timer, and again, very low temperature. It's just to loosen up everything and make the gravy. For the leeks, you're going to want to chop off the ends of them, cut them in half lengthways, and then give them a rinse and making sure you get all the layers, because leeks are notorious for keeping dirt trapped under them. After cutting them in half lengthways again, you're going to want to dice them up nicely. After melting some butter in a pan and putting some salt and a little bit of black pepper, you're going to want to go ahead and dump the leeks into it to saute for about 5 minutes. And while you're mashing your potatoes, you can go ahead and put your plates in the oven, turning it down low, just keeping everything warm now until everything else is ready. And there we have it, 2 faggots, some lovely jam, marmalade gravy, leek and mashed potatoes and glazed carrots. Hope you enjoy, let me know how it turns out.